Hello, Mardreamin. Welcome to day 2. We're so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Rana. I'm from Sercante, and I'll be moderating today's session. So if you have a question, post it in the Q&A tab above, and we'll try and get to it at the end of the session. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Mark Kuiack, who has a great session where he'll share with us his secret recipe for lead follow-up success. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Rana, and thanks for joining. So my name is Mark Kuiack. I'm Marketing Automation Manager with Alert Labs. Alert Labs develops commercial AI-powered water leak technology. And at the risk of aging myself, I've been doing marketing in some capacity for 20 plus years, and automation and building marketing campaigns as a Pardot, now account engagement, and Salesforce admin for about a dozen years. So we're going to be talking about lessons in lead follow-up today, and specifically turning inbound leads into booked meetings with sales. And like many account engagement users, we work in a B2B model. So we're not doing e-commerce. The model is you've got to book in with sales to book a demo, and who can then sell a solution to you. So I'm going to outline a framework for you to ensure that your inbound lead process is airtight and that nothing falls through the cracks. So firstly, thanks to our incredible sponsors. Events like this can't happen without them. So Sercante, Salesforce, Stencil, The Spot, Storylane. Be sure to visit the sponsor tab above during your downtime today. Quick agenda. So we're going to talk about the pain. What are some of the lessons that we've learned from traditional lead follow-up? And what is the prescription to that pain? So we'll talk about a flow to ensure that your leads are followed up with quickly and consistently. It's going to be a very practical session, so we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the building blocks of building custom fields, automation rules, email templates, and what the engagement studio program looks like. We'll talk about the integrations that make everything hum, and that ultimately keep sales engaged with engagement. And of course, we'll talk about some of the good results we're seeing in our context. So what is the pain with why do we have so much trouble with traditional lead follow-up? Well, it starts with the weighty expectations around lead follow-up, and there's tons of studies out there, but they all say basically the same thing. You need to follow up early and often. So the first visual here showing that your chances of contacting, let alone qualifying a lead, drop off dramatically even after 5 minutes have passed. So almost immediate lead follow-up is crucial, as is the frequency of follow-up. So the number of attempts that you're making to follow up with these leads. 1 or 2 attempts just doesn't cut it. You need upwards of 6, 7, sometimes 8 attempts to truly maximize your chances of contacting a lead. A few more fun facts to set the stage. So the first one, 78% of customers will buy from the company that responds to them first. So really, really important to be first past the post. We talked about the chances of qualifying a lead and the number of attempts necessary. You're also 7 times more likely to reach decision makers if you follow up within the first hour. So despite knowing all of this, only 7% of companies actually follow up within the first hour. And that's with a substantive response to an inquiry, not a, we got your message, we'll get back to you later. And 44% of salespeople will give up after 1 follow-up attempt. So, I've worked with a lot of sales teams, and most of them, and especially our current sales team, they're wonderful at selling. But they're not experts in appointment booking necessarily, or chasing people around is not necessarily part of their core skill set. So it's not surprising that we struggle with this process. So what lessons have we learned in our travels? Well, we've tried a few different models. So the most basic model is marketing generates leads, and we pass those leads directly to sales. And we hope and pray, and we say, pretty please, sales. It's really important to follow up with these leads quickly. But invariably, this leads to inconsistent lead follow-up. Some leads are followed up within an hour, some within 24 hours. Some slip through the cracks altogether. Frequency can be even more of a challenge. Very hard to compel sales to follow up more than once or twice on an inbound lead. And then you get into a situation where sales is busy chasing and not selling. And marketing spend and leads get wasted. BDR. So BDR can have a role to play here. It's often, part of their role to help qualify leads. I saw a great presentation yesterday about, embedding the BDR function within marketing. But for us, what we found was we're really sort of imposing our sales process on the prospect, and we're just creating another hurdle for them. So especially for a really good lead, they've got to meet with somebody before they can meet with the person that's actually going to sell to them. So it can add days to the process, during which time your competitors have moved along maybe further than you have. And again, it's just another headcount that's busy not selling product. Well, why don't we just let people book directly into sales calendars? Okay, we've tried that, but that requires a couple of things. Some immediate pre-qualification. So you either have to extend the number of fields that you're asking for, increasing abandonment on your forms. You can onboard a real-time lead qualification solution. There's some good ones out there, but that obviously adds some cost and complexity. And the other issue is sales will get trapped on bad calls and end up burning sales calories on unqualified leads. So what is the antidote to these common struggles that we face with the inbound lead process? When we start to think about it, a number of goals come into focus. So we know that our process needs faster follow-up, almost immediate, and that requires a commitment in marketing to prioritizing fast lead follow-up. We need more contact attempts before exhausting our attempts on a lead. We need these touch points to be personalized to the greatest extent possible. And we want to improve our inbox deliverability, give us the best chances of getting to the inbox. There's nothing worse than a hot lead coming in. We send them a reply, it goes to their trash or their junk folder, and they think we never replied to them, and they move on to a competitor. And at the end of the day, we want more meetings booked more quickly. So for us, this translated into some requirements for this process. We decided that we were going to completely remove the email burden from sales. We found it was more work to try to implement the right actions and police that process than just to sort of take it back in-house. We need to make it easy for leads to book into sales calendars. And again, let sales focus on selling. We want the follow-up to be fast, not necessarily instantaneous, but it needs to be fast. And we want to balance that with the ability to personalize our outreach and ensure it's optimized to book meetings. So we'll talk about some of those techniques. We also want to automate the call tasks for sales. So we're talking a lot about email here, but phone calls still have a role to play. Sales still needs to call leads. Some leads will ask for a phone call. Some leads will pick up the phone where maybe they ignored an email. So we're facilitating that process through this as well. So we'll get into the details, but at a very high level, how it works is that marketing sends the first email, and it's using a Salesforce template through email or Outlook or whatever email client you're using, and we'll talk about why that is. And it's an introduction to their expert point of contact, and words matter. So we select every word carefully. People don't always love talking to sales, but they certainly love talking to experts. So this template includes some dynamic merge fields. So we're entering lead owner information, their calendar link, and from there, after this step, an engagement studio program will take over and send the rest of the follow-up emails and call tasks from the lead owner. We use automation to pull the lead from the program when a meeting is booked. And all in all, we're talking about 8 contact attempts over 8 days. So 4 emails interspersed with four sales calls, so we can ensure that we've exhausted our attempts to follow up with this lead. This is a takeaway slide, so we won't go into all this, but just to show you the steps involved in the cadence. And this is a result of seeing a lot of different presentations at Salesforce conferences and elsewhere on the right cadence, the right techniques and verbiage to use to get people to respond. So it starts with that first email piece, and then steps 2 to 7 are completely automated through the Engagement Studio program. Email number 1, again, that's coming from marketing, introducing sales to their new lead. And then emails 2, 3, and 4 are sent on behalf of the sales rep through account engagement. And when we get to the end of the program, if we haven't been successful, the lead is removed from the flow. They're marked as nurture. We drop them into one of our targeted nurture campaigns and hope that they put up their hand and come back to sales at some point. So when we're building out any kind of new program like this, we need some building blocks. So that includes custom fields. So these are ours. You'll have your own for your own process. We have a number of custom fields so we can populate lead owner information. So this is separate from just the prospect owner and account engagement. We have custom fields to drop in the lead owner's name, their calendar link, their headshot. We have a custom field for the lead owner's Slack ID. We use Slack, so that powers some of our integration work, which we'll talk about at the end. Total number of calls. This is a custom field that helps manage the call piece. So it's essentially just a roll-up of the number of activities on the Salesforce record that are of the type call. So you can Google how to set that up, or talk to your Salesforce admin for creating that roll-up field. And lead status is technically a custom field in account engagement, but every account engagement instance should include a lead status field. There's really just one simple automation rule that's pulling people into the program. So we're looking for folks that leads that have been created in the last day that are assigned to sales. So in our case, that's essentially anybody but me that belong to a particular business unit. And then they're added to a list called inbound lead cadence. We also use dynamic content in our email templates to customize. But quick sidebar on this, one specific piece of email content that we use for email signatures. So if you're sending email on behalf of a number of people or sales reps, you can control all that from one piece of dynamic content, where you're pulling in their sender information from Salesforce. You have that custom field for their calendar link, for their headshot, where that image is located. So when it comes time to update your email signature, you can just do it in one place. You don't have to be mucking with 20 different email signatures, or heaven forbid, hundreds of different email templates. So email number one, this is where it starts. So a lead comes in, it's assigned to sales because it's qualified as somebody we want to talk to. And this is arguably the controversial piece of the program, because this is where I tell a bunch of automation professionals to resist the temptation to fully automate this. And I would say that to anybody starting out in automation is learn how to edit yourself. Just because you can automate something fully doesn't mean you always should. Just like a musician, right? You don't have to put out that double album. You can edit yourself. So if you think you can get better results with a sort of a hybrid, a template with a little bit of manual effort, that's what we found here. So this is that first email. It's an intro to their expert point of contact, and we're using a Salesforce template and the Salesforce integration with either Outlook or Gmail to trigger that template. And we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, it's diversifying our email sending. So we're going to increase our chances of hitting the inbox at some point during this program. If you're like us, a lot of account engagement users send email via Salesforce's shared sender IPs, and Salesforce does a great job of protecting their sender reputation. But the truth is, more often than not, you're going to have more success hitting the inbox with a personal email sent from your Outlook or Gmail. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes you'll have folks, for whatever reason, they'll respond to your account engagement email claiming that they never saw your first email. But the point is, diversification, you have a better chance of hitting the inbox. The other one is maximum personalization. So we want to personalize a little bit more, especially with this first email, than we can just do with merge fields. So we do use merge fields, inserting first name, company name, and all that. But we like having that extra layer of customization. So what we'll do with the email is the first line is really just thanking them for taking the time to share how company is looking for X. And the X is, I'll usually just read back to them the same verbiage that they've used when they filled out our form. And the second line, we talk about our very specific expertise in their industry or their area. So if they're talking about a laboratory inside of a university, we can say, oh, absolutely. We have several applications with labs inside universities. And the other thing we might customize is the nature of their request, right? Are they asking for more product information? Are they asking for pricing? Are they asking for a demo? Just sort of recognizing what they're asking for. It usually takes about 30 seconds to call up this template, customize it, click send. The other benefit here is that you can copy a sales rep. You can't really copy a sales rep on an account engagement email. So they have visibility there as well. Obviously, this isn't going to scale if you get 100 leads a day and you have one person managing this. But for us, we find it is manageable, and it just takes a commitment as a marketing team to recognizing the importance of immediate lead follow-up, and it becomes part of your DNA. So if I'm on a team meeting with my marketing peers, I'll say, hey, I got a lead come in, I've got to leave for a minute and come back, and everybody understands that this is a priority. So yeah, the email also includes one clear call to action, right? To book a 15-minute meeting, and it's very purposefully a 15-minute meeting. Very low barrier to entry to have that first conversation with sales. So most people will book from this email. They'll never see the rest of the program. But for those that don't, that's where Engagement Studio kicks in. And the first thing it does is it manages the call process for sales. So you'll see this better when you download the slides. But the program here, the first thing that happens, it'll look for a phone number. So usually we will have a phone number from data enrichment. If there is one, we're going to create a call task in Salesforce. And then the clock's going to start ticking. So sales has, we have an SLA where they have 24 hours to make that first call, assuming they haven't already booked into a meeting with that first email. After 24 hours, we use that custom field, total number of calls, to see, has a call been made? Is it one or more, or is it zero? If it's one or more, great, we don't have to do anything. They can keep going down the path towards the next email, assuming, again, they haven't booked. If they haven't made the call yet, we'll do a complex rule check to see, has the lead status changed? So has a meeting been booked here? Is that why the call wasn't necessary? And if not, then we trigger a reminder to sales. And that's why this program is called Inbound Lead Call Now, because that's the subject line of the email that's triggered from Pardot that goes to sales to say, hey, you've just missed your call window. It's time to drop what you're doing and make that call. And it's amazing once you start reporting on calls, how it starts to drive the right kind of behaviors, right? So we have in Salesforce a call compliance metric that measures the percentage of time that different reps call their lead within 24 hours or not. You can also start filtering this information to your email or to the email of sales leadership, and dumping these emails into folders for them, so they can start to see like a running tally of who's meeting their call requirements and who's not. So that's the call piece. Engagement Studio, we always talk about how it powers email campaigns. It can really power any kind of process that requires reminders and action, like phone calls. Then from there, emails 2 through 4 are triggered through the account engagement program. Again, every step of the way, we're doing that complex rule check. Has the lead status changed? Has a meeting been booked? And there's an integration that's telling us that a meeting is booked. We'll talk about that in the next step. We'll do another check. Has this lead been converted to an account and a contact? That would be an indication that they are engaged. Assuming those two things have not happened, they're going to get the next email in the string. And it's very important that sales buys in and does their part, because this first email plays off the phone call. So it's, sorry, I missed you on the phone. I was calling in response to your recent inquiry with Alert Labs. So we're reminding them, you asked for this. This isn't a cold email, right? So, and the other thing that's key here is, I'll try again in the next day or so. So that's a polite way of telling people, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep bugging you. So now is a good time to reply. So they may or may not. Email number 3, still trying to respond to your inquiry. Please pick a spot in my calendar at a time that works for you. And then sometimes we get down to email number 4, which is the permission to close your file. So this is a popular technique that we found really works for us. It says we're in the process of closing files for the month, which may or may not be true. Typically, when we haven't heard back from someone, it means they're either really busy or aren't interested anymore. So you're forcing them to choose between those two options. And 9 times out of 10, they just got really busy. So they filled out a form on your website, they got swamped, they didn't have time to book a meeting. So you'll often get an apologetic reply saying, "Oh, I'm going to book a meeting now," or "I'll book one next week," or "Can you call me tomorrow?" Something to that effect. So email number 4 for us actually performs. It's second only to the first email. So we got a lot of pickup from that sort of last ditch attempt. So I've been referencing integrations that power some of this process. So Zapier, anybody working in automation knows Zapier is a really powerful tool for managing data between platforms. We have a very simple Zap that speaks to our calendar application, which is Calendly as of now. So when somebody books through Calendly, there's a lookup in Salesforce to find that record, and it will automatically change that record to a working status, which will pull them from the campaign that we just looked at. We're also sending a message into Slack. Now, if you use account engagement and you use Slack and you have not taken advantage of this integration, start doing it tomorrow. We have seen so much value from the visibility that especially the sales team gets into engagement by pushing it into Slack where they live. So we have a channel in Slack called Prospect Engagement, where all of our new leads land, important information on existing leads. So if they fill out a new form, your lead is on the contact page, might be a good time to reach out. So a really powerful way of getting sales to act on that real-time engagement. We're pushing in meeting bookings and maybe more importantly, meeting cancellations as well, so that sales knows it's time to rebook. And again, when you look at the slides more closely, you can see the syntax that I'm using in my completion action in account engagement on the form. So it includes their Slack ID. So that's a custom field in account engagement that we push into Slack so that we can mention them in Slack, so that we can ensure that they get notified of that. We're also integrating with our call system. So we have phone calls, inbound phone calls, voicemails, transcripts and recordings all coming into this prospect engagement channel, giving sales and sales leadership a really good view into what's happening. Zoom Info we talked about. So Zoom Info does a lot of things, including data enrichment. So we've really pared down our forms. We literally ask for an email, a company, and an optional message field, because again, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be able to get everything else from data enrichment. So don't ask people to supply information that you can easily find through other platforms. So we talked a lot about the pain on the outset. What is the gain? What results have we been seeing? Well, we did an analysis of 3 months before, 3 months after, and we found that the percentage of marketing qualified leads that were booking meetings went from below 50% to now 70%. The average time to meeting booked came way down. Now there's always outliers. So if somebody books after that 4th email, factoring in weekends, that's going to be like 9 days into the process. So you really have to look at your median time to meeting booked. When are people usually booking a meeting? And it's usually from that first email within 2 hours, where it used to be almost a day. So that gives us a pretty good chance of being in that 78% who are the first ones to talk to a lead. And we're seeing evidence of accelerating our sales pipeline as well, where previously it took 11 days to go from lead to opportunity, and now we're seeing opportunities being created in less than a week. So that's it. There was a lot in there. Hopefully you can take some of that and adapt it to your own use case. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about building this type of program. I've left exactly 1 minute for maybe one question if we have one.
I don't think we have enough time, but a few more seconds left. But thanks for such an insightful session. You can reach out to Mark in the event chat directly. But thank you everyone for joining us, and thanks to our sponsors for helping make this happen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.